I do not encourage nor condone any of the actions performed or products shown in this video. All of the videos are produced in a safe and controlled environment. Do not attempt to replicate any of the actions performed during this video.
Hello beautiful people from the internet, it is Connie over here. Welcome back to another video and welcome to my car, which today I will be doing a disgrace to. I am going to be hotboxing it with some Rothman cigarettes until I fix my crash out, which has been repeatedly happening ever since I entered my 20s, and now that I've reached the halfway point of them, I have decided I no longer want to go on having this same crash out endlessly, and so I have written all of my bullet points and thoughts here, common ground in which I can agree with myself that I will no longer be repeating these ideas inside of my brain endlessly. And so yeah, I don't know guys. I'm also going to crack open my Monster Energy. I haven't done a hotbox in many years. The reason why I was doing hotboxes before was mainly because I was afraid of recording outside. I was afraid of judgment. I didn't want to be perceived, and ever since I got over it, I actually started recording outside a lot more and just not doing as many hotboxes as I used to. Alright, so okay, I am avoiding it, right. My crash out, yes. I think this is happening because there is a conflict of ideas inside of myself. I have some perspectives which I've had for a very long time, which I'm now starting to understand are probably not the healthiest and not the ones that are going to help me the most. And I have some new ones which I've been gathering over the past months, couple of years, that I still don't fully yet believe, but I'm trying to get there. And so I'm still trying to let go of these older ideas and come into these newer ones, but I'm in the middle ground where none of them feels true to me yet or anymore. I feel like for a long time, and I'm always talking about this, and look, I feel like on the internet people try to perceive a sense of like resolve. So I don't know, it feels like sometimes creators make one video in which they explain, you know, some sort of a crisis that they're having, either of meaning or purpose or direction, and it seems like they never speak about it again as if it has been resolved, you know? Whereas I've been feeling like I talk about the same things over and over again with no apparent resolution, and I start to doubt that I'm capable of resolving them because, I don't know, other people seem like they are resolving them in like a week's period of time, you know, and I'm over here like a year later with still the same thoughts about purpose and direction and these things which I feel are very big at this point in a human's life, you know, the 20s. I feel like the 20s really are like a pretty dark age. It's not that bad, it's just that there is so much that you feel like you have to figure out, but you actually don't, which these are the ideas that I'm, you know, pondering about. I'm letting go of my idea that you are supposed to figure things out in your 20s because it just doesn't seem realistic. I don't feel like I've ever heard a 30, 40, 50-year-old say that they figured everything out in their 20s. However, it seems as though that's the case when I look at social media. I know I should not be looking at social media, but it's tough. It is everywhere. And so I feel like I've been applying a lot of pressure to myself because I feel like, you know, I don't have a clear direction that I'm following right now. But does anybody? I mean, this is what I've been thinking. If you are in a specific path, a career path or a path of learning something, taking a course, it doesn't exactly mean that you will be following that path until the end of your life, you know, because the concept of career for life is not something that is as relevant in this day and age as it was before. And I feel like we have directions that we are following for a period of time and then we redirect and we follow something else. But sometimes, I don't know, I guess I've just been doubting my own ability to do well. And do well is just in a state of mind type of way, you know. I don't want to do super well financially. I don't want to have a big house. I don't want to be perceived as very successful. But I feel like when I share these thoughts of not wanting these seemingly big things that a lot of people seem to want, I start feeling inadequate. As if I don't want these things, then what am I even doing here in the first place, you know? I feel like I'm constantly looking for definitive answers to questions that were just starting to be made. Like things like, what would I like to do with my life for the next couple of years, or for the next 10 years, or for the next 20 years? Should I aim for a purpose for today, or should I aim for a purpose for the rest of my life? Can it be ever changing, or do I need to figure it out now? You know, I feel like there are certain questions that start to be made at this age that don't need an immediate resolution, but in my mind I feel like they do, so that I can prove myself in a way. I feel like a lot of these issues are very outwardly, so I'm trying to find answers so that when people ask me about these questions, I have some sort of an answer that I'm giving them that feels realistic and, I don't know, like a clear path to a bright future. I feel like I'm trying to take the world's vision of success and applying it to my own life, even while knowing that that is not something that I want for myself, just so that I am perceived as somebody who has things together for other people, which, oh my god, I am the only person that has to live my own life, you know? If I am not content with it, then it does not matter if I'm being perceived as whatever by the outside person, because they are not the ones that have to live my life. I am the one that has to be happy with it, you know? So I've been having this conflicting thought of trying to look as though I know what I'm doing, when I don't really think that that's very important to know what you are doing, you know? And I think that's what I'm kind of afraid of saying here. Gosh, I need to open my window. Hot boxes are not for the weak. I feel like I was very much more capable of handling them when I was younger, but nowadays, man, it is just too stuffy in here. There is another thought that I've been having quite frequently, which is the thought of wanting to have things figured out, you know? But then I also start thinking, having things figured out seems pretty boring to me, you know? Will I figure out how I want to go about my life today and then just follow that path forever? That seems like the most boring thing I could ever do, you know? I want to be surprised, I want to struggle, I want to learn, I want to try and fail, and I want to learn from that failure. And I feel like having things figured out, at least to me, sounds like I know what I am doing constantly, and that sounds like something that I would not want to have applied to my life, simply because it seems quite boring. I'm sorry, it seems boring. I want to try a bunch of different things that, you know, maybe I have an idea and I feel, oh my god, I would totally be incapable of doing this. I do not have the skill set, I don't have the conditions currently, but I still am going to throw myself head first and try it anyway, because the other option is just to be stagnant and paralyzed and not try anything, because right now it doesn't seem like everything is aligned for me to jump into this specific activity or path that I want to follow. But I feel like the path is not created before you try something. The path is created as you walk it, you know? And I feel like I have some proof that this is true in my life, because when I first started this YouTube channel, I didn't have all of the editing skills, the filming skills. I didn't even have filming gear. I didn't really know how to speak proper English when I first started, and still, you know, knowing that it would most likely not turn into anything, I jumped headfirst and I did it anyway. And look, it has been working out a little bit here and there as the years have been going on, and I feel like this has been a little bit of proof that, you know, whatever path that I may want to take, I don't have to overthink it before and just have all of these ideas written down of how I'm going to go about step 1, step 2, step 3. Maybe I just need to start it and figure it out along the way, you know? I don't feel like all of these overthinking is productive whatsoever, because I'm doing a lot of the overthinking about the plan that I want to take, but I'm not actually taking any action. I'm just stuck in the overthinking phase, you know, which doesn't take me anywhere. And so maybe I should just start and think along the way, instead of trying to think about all of it in the beginning stages and then never actually do anything, because it starts feeling too overwhelming, you know? Because when you go over all of the possibilities of what could go wrong, there are plenty of things. We have absolutely no control. There is nothing telling me that I'm not going to sit in my bed reading a book after I record this video and I have a freaking heart attack, you know? It is a possibility. Is it very, very likely? I don't think so, but it's still, you know, possible. And so I don't want to exactly live every day as if it is my last, but I want to live every day taking a little bit of action into the things that I want to do, rather than just overthink them and never do anything at all, you know? Guys, I have been thinking so much lately, almost to a point of destruction of all of my beliefs. You know, like when you have a certain idea, it could be very simple, like think of an apple. If you start thinking of an apple for 3 hours in a row, you will start distorting the image of it, you know? You will analyze every single part of this apple and what does it mean to even be an apple, and you will think so much about this apple that you will forget to eat it. At first you had a beautiful apple to eat, but then you thought about it so much that you have no more apple and no more enjoyment, which could have been there had you just looked at it, be like, oh, this is a nice apple, I'm going to eat it, instead of overthinking about what it means to eat this apple and what it's going to do to your body, and is this the correct apple, or should it be a little bit more red, a little bit more round shape, you know? It doesn't do anything to overthink so much about things, because you end up losing all of these opportunities that you had you just taken them instead of think about them. And I'm saying this to myself, by the way. I'm not attacking you in the slightest. I'm just trying to calm my brain down. I also feel like there are constantly like two versions of myself living inside of my brain. The version that knows that I just want to try and take a little bit of action here and there and try new things and fail, and that isn't afraid of failing, that isn't afraid of being perceived as somebody who is trying a bunch of different things and failing and trying again, you know. And then I have the version of myself which is like, oh no, you should really think this through so that you don't look as though you have no idea what is happening. But does anybody have any idea what is happening? If not, then why are we all trying to pretend that we do? You know, I feel like it's to be safe and feel like we are accepted and we are a part of the whole of the society of humans and all of that. But if all of us are sharing a feeling which is of, you know, doubt and insecurity, which is normal at this age, then let's share it a little bit more, instead of being like, hey, look, wow, day in my life, and I did 40 hours of work in a 24-hour time period. You know, there have been lots of things which have been scary to me before, and one day I wake up and those things don't feel as scary anymore, not because they became any less scary, but just because I grew out of the fear and I tried different things that showed me that I have a lot of capability to do and tackle this thing, you know. And this ever-changing process that we are going through is the most beautiful thing, and being afraid and still doing things anyway is something to just be so proud of for yourself, you know? Throwing yourself headfirst into something knowing that it could not turn out to be anything, and doing it anyway for the passion of it, for the process of learning and acquiring something, is so valuable. And I should do so much more of it, instead of, you know, always doubting myself and always thinking, what if, what if, what if? If you live in the what ifs, you're never going to do anything, Connie. I tell myself every day, and still I'm very, very, very stuck in them, you know? I feel like sometimes I feel very, very unworthy and almost dumb and stupid if I don't have achievement X, Y, and Z. Like I see my peers that I went to high school with, you know, immigrating, going to another country to work in a very important job, and just taking all of these courses that seem so grand. And you know, when I try to talk about the fact that all I really want to do is to live a simple life and smell the flowers, look at the freaking tree, you know, when I watched Perfect Days, the movie, and you need to watch it, it's absolutely fundamental for anybody at any age to watch, but I think especially in your 20s. This movie is about a main character, a Japanese guy, who just works as a toilet cleaner. He finishes his job at toilet cleaning, which he's very, very responsible about, you know. He wants to make sure that everything is done very properly, and he's doing his absolute best. And, you know, it's just very, very commendable the way that he does things. He's just very proud of doing things right, you know, in a way that for him feels right. And then he leaves his job and he goes sit at a bench, and this is a scene of a movie, and he is looking up at the trees and he's taking photos of the sun shining in the trees. And I felt so understood then, because I don't dream of anything big, and sometimes I'm really, really embarrassed about that, almost as if, you know, it's inadequate to not have these very big dreams. I just want to live a simple life and then leave my job and be able to appreciate the trees, because I'm not super overworked for a corporation that I don't even care too much about, you know? And I still have this livelihood in me to go out and smell the flower and look at the pets running around and look at children smiling and happy and be able to feel happy too, because I'm not suffering constantly and I'm not exhausted because I feel like I have to be exhausted in order to be worthy, you know? I feel like nowadays people really attach suffering and exhaustion with success. Like if you take a day off and you are not, you know, working towards your dreams, and you're not deep cleaning your house, and you're not making all of these beautiful meals, and you're just taking your day to like go have a walk and not do anything, maybe read a book, maybe not if you don't feel like it, then you are seen as lazy, and why are you wasting your life? And oh my god, there is this whole... Even the other day I was doing a live stream and I was talking about this same concept. I was saying, you don't need to be so stressed about everything all of the time, because there is time. There was a girl that was saying, you know, I'm 20 years old and I feel like I'm running out of time and everything is so big and I feel like I have all of these responsibilities and there is no time to enjoy anything. And I was saying, no, you know, there is time. Go outside right now and, you know, look at what there is to look. It doesn't have to be the most beautiful landscape ever. You don't have to travel to see all of these new things. What is here right now is worthy of your attention and worthy of your enjoyment. You know, there are so many things to extract enjoyment from, but I feel like we've gotten to a place where we can only enjoy things after we achieve certain things. So if I buy a house, then I will be content. If I get this job offer, then I will be content. But you will not. If you do not know how to be content in your current state, you will not know how to be content ever, because you will always be chasing something else, because there is always something to be chased. And then there was somebody saying, no, you should not act as if you have all of the time in the world, because your life will pass you by and you will not do anything and not be anyone. But look, you are already born. You are already somebody. You are already here. You don't have to do anything to prove that you deserve to be a human being on earth. You already are here. You won this freaking sperm race, all right? Congratulations. And now there is all of this to be enjoyed. Do you really want to waste everything away? All of your hours just grinding infinitely for something that you don't even know you will want later on, you know? Look, I am not disregarding the people that follow a career path and end up doing it for the rest of their life and really enjoying it, you know? That happens for some people and it's very real for some people, but you also have to think about the prospect that maybe you will be following something for some years and then you will not really enjoy it anymore. And then what? Are you just going to feel perpetually lost, or are you going to have the ability to adapt and change things around, you know, and try new things? And I feel like if in your 20s you don't cultivate this adaptability and this willingness to try and fail, then that will be much more difficult to do when you are a lot older and you have a lot more responsibilities, and maybe the time and place to try and fail has kind of passed you by a little bit. Although I still think it's always possible to try different things and like redirect, you know? I don't know, sometimes I just feel like my definition of success is just very different from what I feel like it should be societally. When people ask me what my dream is, I always say the same thing. I just want to live every day as happily and peacefully as I can, and I don't really care about any big achievements, financial, career, or even family-wise, you know? I just want to be content. Some people sometimes get a little bit weirded out when I say that I just want to be content, you know, because there's that trend of like, never settle, keep on the lookout for bigger and brighter things for yourself. But everything that is big and bright already exists around me, you know? There are parks, there are trees, there are flowers which I can smell, there are books which I can read infinite amounts. There's just so much music and movies and things that I have yet to experience in places that I've never been before. Everything that is grand already exists around me. Everything that I want to do is just to enjoy it, you know? I don't know how things will go, And there is no point in trying to figure out everything now, because even if I have a big realization now, it is very prone to change. I don't want to have a specific belief that I gather at my 25 years of age and then I stick with it for the rest of my life, because I feel like that is quite naive to just believe that something is true and never challenge it again, you know? So maybe today my purpose is to, you know, make this video and smell the flowers and go work on the things that I have to work on. And maybe my purpose will be different a year from now or 2 years from now, but the thing is to not feel bad about this ever-changing quality of human beings. I feel like it's normal to want different things as life goes by. Also, I feel like it's very normal to just want a simple life and, I don't know, to be content with everyday things. What more can you want, you know? I don't want to make a specific goal for myself, which I'm working towards, and I'll only be happy once I reach it, because then what? You know, I'll have to make a new goal and try to reach it, and only then will I be happy. But I don't want that to be the case. I want to be happy along the way, you know, as the process is happening. I want struggles to come, and I want to be able to adapt, you know, and improvise. And I want to be happy with my own ability of changing things around, you know, and understanding when I'm not content in a situation, and thinking about the steps which I need to take in order to get myself to a place of contentment once again, which doesn't have to be changing your whole life around. Maybe it's just a change of mindset, you know? I don't know, my friends. Sometimes I just feel like I am trying to mold myself into being something that I am not, just so that I can say to other people that I am this thing that seems valuable according to society. I don't know, who even cares, you know? I guess these have been the conflicting ideas that I have inside of myself. The one that I know that I am and that I want to be, and the one that I feel as though I should be in order to be valuable, you know? I don't know, maybe I just have all of my concepts of value and worthiness mixed up. But yeah, I wanted to share it just because I feel like I know I am not the only person in the world going through this right now, and so I just wanted to give you a little bit of a glimpse of how things have been going in my psyche over the past couple of weeks. I've been very, very paralyzed. I've been very incapable of recording anything or even, I don't know, doing anything really, because I'm constantly overthinking and doubting my own self and ideas and prospects, and I don't know. But you know, at the end of the day, I don't know how things will work out, and I don't want to know. I want to adapt and improvise as I walk my path, which I know is not something I can write out and walk. It is something that I take my first step and then it starts being projected in front of me, you know? There will be turns, there will be times in which I will have to jump over some freaking hole or barrier, and I just will do it, you know, without having to think too much about it prior. Just setting myself up with the basics of, you know, maybe I need to bring a bottle of water and some food for my journey, and then we'll see how it goes. Thank you so much for listening to my crisis. And I don't know, I'll see you all very soon. Thank you so much for being here, and have a beautiful rest of your day. And know that if you're having any of these ideas and thoughts, a lot of people are there with you, me included. Most people, if not all, have had thoughts similar to these throughout their life, and so it is very normal, and it's okay, and we're going to be okay. All right, see you soon, friends.